Welcome to another episode of The Arena, a show about finance, real estate, and the boots on the ground making it happen every day. This market is a battle. We want to bring on people that are going to help you fight and win that battle. So today, you're going to want to save this episode. You're going to want to watch the whole thing because we're going to be talking tax strategy, wealth creation, and we're going to be debunking a lot of the myths that you see out there with all the content creators, the influencers. They all think they know what they're talking about. Turns out they don't. Turns out they're just trying to get views and clicks. So I want to welcome Wayne Wagner. Wayne is the president and founder of Visionary Wealth Management. Wayne's company manages billions of dollars in funds. Chartered financial consultant. He's an entrepreneur himself. Wayne, what do you have, 10?
Yeah, all are parts of about 10 different companies.
10 different companies. And of course, wealth strategist. So I thought this was an appropriate time to bring you on. Welcome on the show.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, and especially we're shooting this in February. This is when so many people are just pulling their hair out, getting their stuff ready for tax season.
Yep.
And I know I am. And so hopefully people can pick up a few nuggets from you, and not just for this season, but just for life.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of things that, as we've discussed, they can be doing a little differently to set themselves up.
This is a season of the year that we get PTSD, and we pick up relationships for next year to fix this crap moving forward.
Right. It's almost too late. Right. At this point, just got to let's get through it.
Yeah.
And then next year we're going to make sure that we're there.
Although I got a message from my daughter this morning. She and her husband are doing taxes, and he asked a great question. He said, "Hey, so we're doing we get a 1099 from you for the books that we read for personal growth. Does that mean we can write off the books as a business expense?"
And what did you say?
Yes. It's right. It's educational materials.
That's right.
So
just like travel, you're going away tomorrow, I believe.
I'm leaving tomorrow for a business mastermind. So it's my professional coach, my staff chaplain, my VP of operations, and our spouses, all of whom are board of directors people, board of advisors people, and we'll be away for a week.
I love that. And it's all a business trip.
That's it. That's right.
So let's get into it, because again, I know this is such a hot topic, especially on social media, because nobody teaches this in the schools.
Right.
I mean, I went to school. I went to a really nice business college, went to Rider University, and really learned almost none of this.
Right.
So how are people supposed to know about this? And what are some of the biggest mistakes that you're seeing people, a lot of people watching this, they're independent contractors, business owners, or higher earners. What are the mistakes that you're seeing people make right off the bat?
Yeah, the single biggest thing we see people make mistakes with early on is thinking that wisdom and expertise in one area leads to wisdom and expertise in every area. So it's the old adage, hey, millionaires have 7 streams of income. And the problem is, yes, millionaires, multimillionaires, decamillionaires have multiple streams of income, but they didn't start out that way. The best and most successful people we see were hyper over concentrated doing one thing super really well. We think about Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is very diversified, extremely wealthy. His fingers are in everything. But guess what he did first? He played a lot of frickin' basketball.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty good at it.
So, Jeff Bezos was in a basement selling books, creating Amazon for years and years and years. And even to this day, when you look at his net worth, he's hyper concentrated in one thing. Does he own lots of different stuff? Sure. But he didn't start out trying to buy a bunch of stuff and have 7 streams of income. He did one thing super, super well, got really successful doing that, and then diversified out.
What an interesting point, because I think, and I'm guilty of this too, you start being successful in whatever career you chose.
Yep.
And then you have a little bit extra disposable income.
Yeah.
And you think, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you think, I need to be doing more.
Yeah.
I need to be, and you see your mentors, and I think that's probably the problem. You see your mentors, whether they're online or they're in real life, you see that they have their hands in several different things. You own 10 businesses, but you're saying that you should start with one. Now, at what point, here's the question, do you start diversifying?
Yeah. I would say you need to have a couple of $1 million in net worth before you do that, before you start diversifying. Because you need the safety, you need the barrier for entry, you need the safety buffer before you start diversifying out. Look, I am the cautionary tale. You know, I'm like a walking, talking insurance commercial. Like I know a lot because I've done a lot, because I've seen a lot, because I made most of the mistakes myself. So my own cautionary tale is, you know, I got successful. I 7x'd my business between 2000 and 2007. And then I 2x my business from 2008 to 2020. How do I do 7x in 7 years and then 2x in 13?
Hmm.
Well, I took over a private school and spent $6.5 million trying to keep it afloat. And
That's
a
good.
huge percentage. Now, altruistic,
Bit of a distraction.
yeah, massive distraction, right? So 7x in 7 years, 2x in 13 years.
So
Yeah.
it seems like it was the focus was lost.
That's right. That's it. And so, again, I am the cautionary tale. Also spent money there thinking I could start a mattress sales company just about the time that people started selling mattresses online.
The heck did you get into that?
Right, exactly. Distraction.
You had an
Right.
opportunity and you just went shiny object.
Exactly.
So it's interesting because I own this mortgage company, Maximus.
Yep.
And the biggest part of the company, my core belief is focus. We have these loan officers and their primary source of business is real estate agents, let's
Yep.
say. And of course, financial advisors, attorneys, referral partners. Well, there's these lenders out there, mortgage companies they work for, and they want them doing a lot of things. And a lot of those things don't involve building the relationships and trust of those referral partners.
Right.
It's them almost doing paperwork and other things that are more internal.
Right.
So how are they supposed to 7x their business or even double their business if they're not focusing on the right things? And so here I'm always trying to give them the support where I'm taking things off their plate,
Right.
so that they can focus. And what a perfect example of you yourself, you lost that focus and you didn't grow as fast.
Yeah. And every entrepreneur has to do that. Every entrepreneur, look, the guy who owns the McDonald's doesn't make the burgers, right? Why is that? Because you build the business and you pay other people to do the things that are not worth your dollars per hour. And so, you know, to your point with your loan officers, it's one thing to get them to think that direction when it comes to, hey, should you be filling out the paperwork? No, you should have somebody else filling out the paperwork because you should be building relationships, executing the deals. But it's just as easy when they go home at night to say, hey, maybe I should be doing fix and flips. Hey, maybe I should be buy and hold real estate. Hey, maybe I should get into this real estate partnership where we're actively operating an apartment complex. It's like, probably not yet.
No,
Probably not yet.
you haven't hit that level yet.
Right. Let's go. And it's not just let's go get a year or two of 6-figure or mid 6-figure or 7-figure income under your belt. Let's go build some actual net worth.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about building your net worth and your wealth.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, especially if you're younger, underestimate the power of compounding interest and just time.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend? You have a lot of parents out there, me included, that of course we want our kids to be successful, happy, fulfilled.
Right.
We want them making their own money. We don't want them living off of whatever inheritance they're going to get. But then again, we also want to make sure that we're taking care of them. We're in the background by doing certain things. So what do you recommend that parents do and the children who are now adults, when they get that first job and they're making real money, quote unquote, what can both of them do to ensure stability and wealth creation?
Yeah. So first of all, that word compounding is so crucial because when you are 20 years old and you've got 45 years to age 65 for retirement, you've got somewhere around 6x compounding that's going to work in your favor. Now, understand what that means. When you're 20 and you got 45 years left, you put $1 away, $1 becomes 2, 4, 6, sorry, not 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32,
70,
64.
I don't
Right,
do
right.
that. I'm only mortgage.
So that last one though is worth 50%.
Yeah.
Now with my kids, what we're focused on is first of all, we're focused on Roth 401k and Roth IRA accumulation because Roth money's tax-free.
Yes.
Okay. That means I got to pay taxes on it now. But if I can shift income to the kid's tax bracket instead of mine and get them to put the money away into a Roth construct, and if I can get them to 300,000 by the time they're 30, that's what we're focused on. 300,000 by the time they're 30 gives them a fighting chance at 5 million tax-free when they're 65. Why? Because they're going to get 4 doubles. Just basic market returns. We're not talking Bitcoin going 0 to 100,000. We're not talking knocking it out of the park with Palantir or something. I'm just talking broad market returns over long periods of time. 8% means the money, 8% a year means the money doubles every 9 years. So they're going to get roughly 4 doubles on that money by the time they turn 65. Well, 300 becomes 600, 1.2, 2.4, 4.8. Okay. Now, if we get lucky and we get 10 or 11% rates of return and they get a 5th double, 4.8 becomes 9.6. Nobody's complaining. Right. So that's what we're focused on as a family, is that regardless of what other wealth we're building, what other constructs, businesses we own, net worth, and we're all in this together. My 2 kids are both help us. CJ is my client service advisor inside Visionary Wealth Management. Bryce is running businesses down the shore with us. So 21 and 24, they're both active partners in our businesses and building multi-generational net worth. But we're focused on that one thing, that one planning item for them. 300,000 by 30.
Well, where's that money coming from? Is it coming from your income, or is it now coming from theirs?
So because they're in the businesses, it's all kind of combined. It's a little murky with us, right?
Sure, but let's take a typical situation where parents are making their money, kids now have a separate job. What do you recommend? They maybe have a 401k and they're going to contribute to that. But what else can, again, the parents and the kids do?
So parents can gift up to $19,000 per person per year to the kids. We have families that, clients who are, sometimes it's an incentive conversation to say, hey, when you put $1 in your 401k on the Roth, I'll replace it for you in gifting, or I'll match it for you. So you go ahead and put $2 in and I'll give you $1 back. So it's those kinds of things. Or we're having clients write the checks to the kids, gift the money, and then the kids are working with us to Roth IRAs, increase the contributions to the 401ks on a Roth basis, those kinds of things. So we're having those. It's a combination of kind of, well, how much of it needs to be incentive, carrot, stick. You know, it also gives us opportunity to have the kids like with training wheels. Like, does our 20-something kid have the ability to have money put away and not yoink it back and go to Vegas for the weekend? Right, because
sounds like a great weekend.
It does sound like a great weekend, and also, that $1,000 Vegas weekend just cost us $32,000 at retirement.
Yeah.
So it's training our kids, because ultimately, if successful families the kids are gonna inherit money, might not be till they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, gosh, we hope they don't inherit till they're in their 60s.
But you hope really they don't need it. They've made their own.
Right.
So, and let's talk about what our kids, and again, we're talking about 20-something, now 30-something year olds that are sitting there, they're making some money. They probably don't feel like they're very wealthy right now.
Right.
And that's because they're probably almost paycheck to paycheck. The majority of this country is paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But there's a great book called Automatic Millionaire.
Yep.
And if you haven't read it, read it. It's like, I feel like
Absolutely.
that's one of the main core books you should be reading in wealth. But I love the concept of, who the best entity is that does automatic, the automatic millionaire concept, which is pay yourself first.
Yep.
It's the IRS.
Yeah.
Or in the states and taxes. Because think about it, you look at your paycheck.
They get their money first.
They get their money first.
That's right.
And you get the net.
Yep.
Imagine if they just gave you all the money and just said, hey, you owe us. Pay us, make sure to pay us.
Yeah.
How many people would never pay?
That's right.
Right? They'd spend it first.
Yeah.
And so then the concept, I guess, is you also need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So just walk me through, someone's watching this and they're like, great, okay, I have, I maybe have $200 a month that I can allocate. What do they do?
Yeah. Set up a dollar cost averaging strategy. By the way, part of the reason the automatic millionaire concept works, part of the reason dollar cost averaging works, is because it makes you smarter than every Wall Street money manager, period.
Oh, how's
and
that?
Stop. So think about what happens with a Wall Street money manager. Wall Street kid comes in, hot shot, MBA out of Harvard or whatever, goes to work for a quant fund, and They give them $1 billion to manage, give her $1 billion to manage, and they double it in a year. They're up 100%. What happens next year? Wall Street, all the dumb money goes, we got a genius here. And Wall Street, the dumb money, gives them $20 billion to manage. Well, they were buying micro cap companies. They got lucky on a couple of calls. They grew $1 billion to $2 billion. They're up 100%. You can't manage $22 billion the same way you managed $1 billion. And now the expectation and the pressure is on, and every day that goes by, more money's getting thrown into the fund. Well, the market's already moved. The market's already up. You're not going to make 100% on the same stocks you did last year. You need all new, and it's a completely different paradigm. Now, so when the market pulls back 20% and the 22 billion becomes 16 billion because the market pulled back and through no fault of the manager, now the dumb money runs out. It says, oh, that manager was a flash in the pan. They can't repeat it, and the money runs back out again.
Now, whatever return you got the year before is all
that's
done.
Right. It's all gone. And so now if you are dollar cost averaging $200 a month in, market goes up, every time the market goes up, you buy a little bit fewer shares. Market corrects, goes down 20%, you buy 20% more shares this month. So you're smarter than that manager. That manager's got to go invest $20 billion at the top of the market. You're just systematically buying more shares when the market goes down and fewer shares when the market goes up. It makes you smarter than that money manager.
And this was a concept that I learned, really, I mean, look, I'm 45.
Right.
I only learned a few years ago. I wish I would have learned this in my 20s, because for me, I was, and even around COVID, remember the whole crypto craze and all this stuff.
Yep.
It was always, you got a hot stock tip, a hot crypto tip, and you're throwing, 1,000 here, a few hundred here. It's like all your money's going all over, and maybe you hit on one or two.
Yeah.
But overall, are you really winning? And no one can, if anybody could predict it that well, they wouldn't be giving those tips out.
Right.
You would not
Right.
be hearing about them.
Right.
So I'll give you exactly how I dollar cost average in, and maybe someone watching this will help them out. I have a Robinhood account. Now I have other accounts, but Robinhood's the easiest to do it with. Yeah. You go in there, you find what you want to dollar cost average in, which we'll talk about, and you literally just you type the symbol in, go to buy, drop down to reoccurring investment, and put how much per month or week that you want to invest. You hit save, and now automatically that's going to come out every month. Now, let's talk about, and this is no financial advice. We are all the disclaimers.
Yeah.
But what would you say would be, let's say, the top 3 safest ways to invest like this, knowing really nothing about the markets and want to be consistent?
Are you talking sectors? Are you talking? So when you say safe, has different connotations, right? Because safe is, do I need the money back next week? I always say
long-term index funds,
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah, long-term indexing, index funds, indexing sectors over long periods of time is where you're going to make the most money. There is, sure, everybody's got a hot stock tip. Everybody's got something hot that, Bitcoin was at 125 and everybody was geniuses, and it went to 65 or 70 and everybody's, I need to sell again, this is smart money, dumb money, right? So when there's pullbacks in assets, you see dumb money run.
Right.
And so we always work with clients on kind of the cash flow analysis of when do I need money. If we are talking about money that you're putting away in your Roth 401k or Roth IRA for retirement, buy equities, buy technology, buy AI stuff, because 15 years from now, that stuff's going to be worth more than it is today. What's it going to be worth next week?
What would you specifically say, again, just somebody that they're putting money away in the 401k, they have a little bit each month, a couple $100, again, what do you think that they should buy in that sense, if they're just looking to do it themselves?
Broad market equity index funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So now let's talk about something that I'm always surprised about, because I talk to a lot of our clients here, people looking to get pre-approved to buy a house, they want to refinance. And then that's always the time when we have to look at all their financial situations.
Yeah.
And the number one question we always ask, because we always want to loop them in, who's your financial person?
Yeah.
Who's your financial advisor, or who do you use? And the overwhelming majority say, I don't have one.
Yeah.
And then we say, well, what do you do? Well, I have my 401k and assets, and I have a brokerage account. I put, money here, hot stock tips here, and then a lot of their money is sitting probably in their checking account.
Right.
Why do you think that is? And why do you think, is that a mistake? And should everyone have an advisor like yourself? Or is that when you hit a certain point of wealth?
Yeah. Everybody should have somebody like me that's in their back pocket. The problem is most financial advisors are, well, you said, money guys, money gals, right? And those advisors are typically trying to sell a product. The product might be an asset management platform. It might be a wealth management strategy. It might be, I have conversations with fee-only financial advisors who put together intricate 200-page financial plans that people put on the shelf and never execute. But they paid for it, or they paid by the hour for it. I have clients come to me and say, hey, why don't I just pay you by the hour instead of on an assets under management? I'm like, great. If I'm going to bill you by the hour, I don't talk like this. I talk a lot slower. Why? Because I'm selling you my time, not the value of the advice, right? And that's why, you don't want to do mortgage business, get paid by the hour. There's a lot of hours that go in that you don't get paid for. Why? Because you want to get paid for the value.
Yes.
Same principle, same. So the problem is that
should always be value-based.
That's right. Value-based compensation is how we accelerate wealth, accelerate value for the client, because that puts the onus on you and me to figure out how to deliver the value. McDonald's, right? McDonald's, if you got to wait 27 minutes for that burger, it's the same meal. You didn't want to spend 27 minutes waiting for it.
Right.
Why is DoorDash a thing? Why am I willing to spend $30 on a meal instead of $11 at the counter?
The convenience.
I don't have to leave my office.
You get the time back.
Right. I don't have to take the 27 minutes to go drive to and from just to pick it up. Right. So all of the businesses, super successful businesses, including yours and mine, is about delivering more value, less time, less friction. Right. That's why Amazon exists. That's why DoorDash exists. That's why Uber exists. Right. So it's lower friction, higher value. That's how we want to deliver. That's how we want to deliver value. And the problem is most money people are selling a product, not the value. And so,
well, I also think a lot of people think they don't have enough money to talk to somebody who is, of your caliber, or somebody that's managing millionaires. They think, I got to be a millionaire to even do that. But the problem is, and listen, I was guilty of this too. And I went through my 20s and almost, beginning of my 30s is when I finally found somebody to help me manage my money. And what I found was, look, the problem now is there's so much information out there. And it's the same thing. If you want to get a mortgage, and this happens all the time, and you need to get a mortgage, so what's the first thing you do? You probably aren't going to be calling someone like me. The first thing you're going to do is Googling all about mortgages.
Yep.
Where are interest rates? You Google it, or now you ChatGPT it, or Claude it, or whatever you want to call it, and Gronk it. You're now asking all of these, cybernetic beings, teach me about this thing that I know nothing about. And then now you think you know enough, and you really don't. You don't have the years of experience. And then eventually, when I guess you get burned enough, or you realize that you can't do it on your own, that's when you turn to a professional. And by then, it's not that it's necessarily too late, but it sounds like that by then they've missed out on potential major wealth increases that they could have taken advantage of.
Yeah, and that is on both sides of the ledger, right? It is on the asset side of the ledger in terms of the accumulation and compounding of wealth that could have been accumulating, and it's on the liability side of the ledger. You probably gave way too much money to the IRS during your 20s and 30s. Because if you're talking to somebody who is integrating those sides of things, wealth acceleration and tax management, not tax avoidance. Tax avoidance, people who do tax avoidance go to jail. People who manage taxes just pay less to the IRS.
Well, let's hit on this.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I see on social media right now is talk about trusts.
Yeah.
So I see, and essentially they're basically saying that if you take a trust and you put real estate in it, or a certain amount of money, it's somehow going to shelter you from any taxes. and it's this like this amazing thing. Oh, it's a trust. This is going to solve all your problems. Can you explain to me what is a trust? When is it appropriate? And is any of that true?
Yeah. So we can spend the next 3 hours talking about trusts and different kinds of trusts. But the bottom line is you see a lot of these influencers pitching trusts as some kind of a tax avoidance or tax management strategy. And there's very, very little assistance that actually goes on with a trust in terms of taxes. In fact, wealthy families will tell you and understand that trusts pay way more taxes than you as an individual. There's a layer of corporate protection, like lawsuit protection, that comes with a trust. But if you're the beneficiary and the trustee of the trust, your assets are they're going to try to pierce that veil anyway, if there's an actual lawsuit.
So what is the real benefit of a trust?
So the real benefit of the trust is control from the grave. So, when we put together our first estate plan, all the assets were going into a trust. Why? Because my daughter was 5, my son was 2. We don't give 5-year-olds and 2-year-olds 7 figures to play with if mom and dad go down in a plane crash, right? And we put things in there like, hey, you can give $25,000 on the birth of a child within wedlock. I didn't want to die when I was 15 and have my 15-year-old daughter figure out she could make $2,000 a month getting knocked up once a year. Right?
Yes,
so
that is a very good thing to write in.
Right. It's control from the grave. It's guidance from the grave. It's, hey, if I'm alive to guide you when you're making these decisions, here's the values, here's the structure I want to push you in the direction of. If I'm not here because I died and I didn't make it, I still want to be here and I still want to provide that guidance.
So how's a trust different than a will?
Well, the will determines kind of what direction assets go at death. The trust lives on after you're gone with a trustee that you assign. So for instance, in my situation, up until recently, my estate plan, my brother would have gotten the kids and my VP of operations at Visionary would have gotten the assets. So my brother and the VP of operations would have had, one of them had the money, one of them had the kids. Now the kids are of age, and so my brother doesn't need to take care of the kids anymore. He's still going to be important in our lives, but as an advisor and counselor, but he's not crucial to raise them at this stage.
Sure.
The VP of operations is still crucial there as a trustee of the trust, because my kids at 21 or 24 don't get all the money. Like they're not 3 and 5, but I'm still not, especially since the net worth's gone up a lot since then. We still don't trust 21 and 24-year-olds with 8 figures in net worth.
No.
So
agreed. I would have been terrible.
Right.
Would have traveled all over the place.
Right. Now, again,
Vegas.
Cautionary tales, I put in the first round of the trust, hey, trustee can help my kids fund the startup of a business. Did not authorize the trustee to fund the acquisition of a business. Well, way more business startups fail than buyouts fail. That was a miss. So we improved that, the second iteration, right? So now the trustee can help my kids hire experts to identify business targets to buy the businesses, not just start a business.
Sets the ground rules of when they can touch the money and certain things. Yeah, I love that. And look, I in my trust, personally, I put in something saying if anything were to happen to me and my wife were to remarry, which you don't want to think about, but it could be a thing. That person would have no ability of managing or getting access to any of that money.
Yeah.
The things like that, you don't want to think about, but it's just like the automatic millionaire setting your wealth. This is something also that's so important that you want to make sure is done, especially when you have assets, you bought a house, you start having children, and now you have, real consequences for one or both of you now ceasing to exist because there's things that need to happen afterwards.
Well, and we see people make so many mistakes with trust. First of all, they think that it changes the tax situation. You and your wife hit the maximum income tax bracket at like $750,000 in income. A trust hits the maximum tax bracket at like $13,000 in income.
Wait, say that again? So
you and your wife hit the maximum 37% income tax bracket at $750,000 in income. You put your money in a trust and let the trust be paying the taxes. The trust hits a maximum that 37% tax bracket at $13,000 in income.
So basically, these influencers don't know what they're talking about.
No,
what a shot!
So,
and which is also another reason why you need someone that's actually professional, that's licensed, that can walk you through it.
Yeah, and it is. what the internet has proven to us time and again is access to information does not lead to better decision making. It too frequently causes either bad decision making or analysis paralysis, where no decision gets made, which is even worse in many cases. So,
All right, Wayne, rapid fire.
yeah.
Okay, we're going to hit a bunch of things here. I just want to get through it all. All right, ready? One expense you never see wealthy people stress about.
Travel.
Wow.
Experiences over things.
Love that.
So,
best financial decision you see people make too late.
thinking multi-generationally.
One money myth agents, real estate agents, need to stop believing in.
Taxes can't be managed.
Interesting. If you could give a new 6-figure agent or entrepreneur one rule to live by, what would it be?
Think and plan over 3 to 5 year periods of time.
To end on a note of helping and guiding, because again, I work with a lot of real estate agents who are themselves entrepreneurs. They're independent contractors, they're owners of their own business. Let's talk about just some tax strategies that you think that they can do. I hear them talk about it all the time. They make a lot of money. Some of them don't really have the expenses to write everything off, leads and car and all that stuff. But, what do you think that they could do now that's going to help them?
First of all, if you're a 1099 contractor, the IRS looks at you like a pig on a spit. They love you. You're paying both sides of FICA. You're paying whatever your marginal income tax bracket is. If you put too much on your personal return, they'll audit you and pick you to death. And you may or may not have a CPA who's going to be able to go to battle for you. Rich people have CPAs. Rich people have tax attorneys. So, they love looking at you and trying to pick your return apart, those kinds of things. So when you can shift your business towards an S-corp structure where you can avoid, minimize, manage a large percentage of the FICA taxes that you're paying by having S-corp income versus it all be getting taxed as self-employment income, when you can implement other strategies like using the Augusta rule, which says that you can rent your house out up to 14 days a year without paying income taxes on that income, which means that money is rent expensable to your business, but not income taxable to you as an individual.
Who do they rent to?
So the business.
Wow. Maybe for an event.
For an event, for a client event, for corporate board meetings, board of director meetings. So for strategy meetings, for brain trust meetings.
Which, by the way, so many real estate agents I know love to do client appreciation events.
Right.
So what you're saying is they could do those events and other events, charity events, whatever, at their house.
Yep.
And rent the house for the day and write that off.
That's right. Up to 14 days a year. So totally tax deductible. Needs to be contracts in place. Money actually needs to trade hands. But that's called the Augusta rule. Paying your kids. So you got to put them on payroll. You've got to structure it and have rules to do it.
They can't be like 2 years old, right?
Well, it depends because your 2-year-old could be part of your marketing campaign. Could have responsibility. Yes. Your 2-year-old could have responsibilities.
I know a lot of agents. That is part of their marketing.
Right. It's part of the gig. And so when you're doing photo shoots, when you're doing other things like that, I mean, if you had to hire a child actor or a child model to be part of that, it would cost you thousands of dollars. Why can't you pay that to your kid? And then have them fund their own daycare, have them fund their own sports events for the year, have them fund a Roth IRA.
Wow.
What happens when you put money into a 3-year-old's Roth IRA and leave it there for 62 years till they're 65 years old?
And all this is doing, it's not that they're losing money, they're saving money that ultimately would go to the IRS.
That's right. You're shifting the income around the household. You're thinking multi-generationally about that wealth acceleration and that wealth accumulation over time. And you're managing the tax liability that's going out the door to the IRS in the process.
Any other tips, tricks?
Lots of tips and tricks. So
wait, can we get to just for my own sake?
Yeah.
So much goes on about the talk about buying cars for tax advantage.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to buy this car, has to be over, I think, 6,000
pounds.
Yep. And people are like, oh, I'm buying this Bentley, I'm buying, this car, and I'm going to get 100% write-off, and it's going to save me all this money. Can you just settle this argument? What is the deal with buying cars if you have self-employed income?
So it's an accelerated depreciation write-off against this year's income, as long as it's put in service for your business. Now, listen, we talk about this as professionals. The smartest guys in the room are the contractors we know. Every contractor we know has bought a truck on December 30th at some point in the last 20 years. Why is it that in January, half the contractors we know are driving around in brand new pickup trucks? It's because they got to the end of the year and their accountant said, you've got to get money off your books. Well, I don't have $80,000 to spend on a new vehicle. Oh, but I can go finance $80,000 over the next 5 years, and I can write the whole damn thing off right now on December 30th. All I have to do is drive it off the lot. And I'm a contractor. It's my truck. It's the same principle. That's why a client and good friend who's a tree guy, he buys every piece of equipment in December. He's got some of the coolest, most expensive. He's got cranes and claws and front end loaders. They all get bought in December.
And again, it's not that it's costing him dollar for dollar to buy this equipment. He's saving that money instead of it going out the door to the IRS.
That's right. So, and when you are think about that situation. If you're married filing jointly, up to $400,000 a year, you're in the 24% tax bracket. But if you're self-employed, you're also paying 14% out the door in self-employment taxes on top of that. So you could be losing 30, 40% plus your state. And in New Jersey, you're 6 to 10% income taxes. You could be 50% out the door in taxes.
Buying your cars and equipment end of the year. Big Beautiful Bill came out. And I know there's some changes, some of it in our favor, a lot of it in our favor.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you want to point out for business owners and people that to save some money?
Yeah, the accelerated depreciation piece is still really, really important. That puts some 100% depreciation stuff back in the mix, but it also gave us a expansion of the child tax credit, and it gave us larger personal exclusion. So if you're a family of 4, this is an interesting one. I'll go down just a quick little diatribe here.
Go for it.
But family of 4, $15,750 per person exclusion basically gives you $63,000 of income that's not taxed at all for a family of 4. Now, one of the interesting things is that Trump has said, hey, he would like to have household income not taxable at the federal level up to $150,000. And people are like, well, he'll never get that through Congress. Here's the secret. He doesn't have to if he can keep pushing that personal exclusion. Because if he can get that personal exclusion pushed to $37,500 times an average family of 4, that's $150,000.
There it is.
Not taxable. So the strategery, some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes is very interesting because you're seeing Congress push some of that stuff up. And if we see, get people comfortable with that number getting pushed up, it's actually pushing towards some of those, hey, let's get more income not taxable.
And then all that's going to do too is just increase generational wealth.
Yep.
And save a lot of people a lot of money in taxes.
Yeah, and when you've got families that are making more than $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in income, that's where how can we use business structures, S corp, gifting, those kinds of things to shift income to that next generation and use your 22% bracket and your kids' 22% bracket or the kids' 12% bracket. So how can we shift income from one generation to the next? Now, again, it's all got to be legal. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm a finance guy. So, this is not tax advice and whatnot. But
to wrap this up too, this is why you build a team around you.
Right.
Because they are smarter than you. They're smarter than me. I'm good at maybe 2 things. I can do mortgages and maybe I can DJ a little bit. I'm still working on those skills. But I could smoke a good cigar. There you go. That's a skill, sure. But I just wanted to bring you on because there's so many people that are lost. They don't even know it. And I'm at an age, I'm middle age. I have to admit it. I'm middle age. And
you're an old millennial.
I'm an old millennial. I think I'm the first millennial, first year of the millennial. And this is when I hit 45, this is the first time that I went, oh, wow, I can see the horizon. I could see me actually retiring, quote unquote. I don't know what that's going to mean.
Right.
but I could see a point where I just don't want to work as hard if I don't have to.
Right.
And I also see so many people that are just terrified because they basically wasted the last 20 or 25 years. Not wasted, but in the sense of not being smart in setting things up back then to grow over the time the automatic way. And now they're scrambling to try to put money away and aside and just hoping that it's going to be enough to retire on.
Yeah.
So it's when you hire someone like you or the CPA, yes, is that an expense technically? Sure. But what if those people now put together things and put them in place that now makes you hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars? Is it worth the cost?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's true. That should be true in every professional relationship. You should get more than you pay, right? I mean, the challenge with the CPA space, and look, some of this stuff is demographic. Median age of a financial advisor is 63. Median age of a CPA is like 67. Like they're literally a dying breed.
Mm.
And there's not enough people going into the space because everybody thinks AI is going to eat their lunch. But the problem is expertise. You can't quantify what that's worth over time.
Couldn't agree more. AI is a great tool.
Yep.
For the right person.
But unless if you've got a CPA who doesn't talk to you until tax time every year as a business owner, that's a red flag. That's a problem. Too frequently, the tax preparers are the people who come on the battlefield after the war to count the dead. They're not in the strategy room trying to figure out how to win the damn battle.
Mm.
That's a problem. That should be a red flag if you're not getting strategy proactively from your CPA. And that's where, candidly, on my own side, I've shifted firms over the years, but most of the big decisions we've made have been things that I've had to go research and bring to my CPA to implement. So I didn't move to an S corp structure until I was making $800,000 a year. I should have done that when I was making $200,000 a year. So
hindsight, but your mistakes are going to save other people.
That's right.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Wayne, what's the best way?
Wayne at visionarywealth.com. Now, visionary's got a Z in it, so it's not an S. So Wayne at visionarywealth.com is my email address. You also, visionarywealth.com, you can find me through our website.
Awesome. Wayne, thanks for being on today.
Thanks, Matt.